Fios is not cable. We're wired differently, which means you can get the fastest internet available with equal upload and download speeds from 50 to 500 megs. So you can upload 200 photos before your favorite song is finished. Click the ad and switch to Fios today to get our best offer ever.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliate stations coast to coast present
Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue.
No-hitter for Arrieta.
Discussing baseball, good drinks, and food.
So,
Or clear for a minute so I can write down the damn time.
It just got weird.
With Ted Hicks.
Everybody wants to be Bartolo.
Todd Vandenberg.
The handsomest man on the entire goddamn tour.
And Lee Vowell.
Folks, look around. Anyone who's not singing in the choruses is a racist.
Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on the Happy Hour Network.
And good morning. Welcome to Baseball Beer and Barbecue with Ted, Todd, and I think Lee's playing hooky this week. I'm not sure what's going on here, but
Lee's sitting out.
Hang on.
He's in a contract dispute with himself.
Oh, guess what? I was reading the wrong outline because it said the great Kwayu Graham would be on the show. I said, again? I said, oh my goodness. But
that would be cool, but we do have a fine guest today.
Yes. So we hope that Lee may call in and, share some precious father and daughter experiences and maybe steal a brief moment away from his lovely daughter Fiona. But
let me make one thing clear. When Lee shares precious father-daughter experiences, it's not like Donald Trump's weird stuff, okay? I mean, these are normal father-daughter activities. Just want to make that clear. So most of the show is not family rated, but that section is family rated. It's not like a Trump thing, so no problem.
Gotcha. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Baseball Beer and Barbecue. Later, we'll talk beer with Josh Beerman of Side Door Brewing. Hey, so we're going to talk beer with Josh Beerman. That is great. I'm really excited about that.
As far as I know, that's really his name.
Oh, okay. So we want to thank our radio partners that play us every week. They love playing the Baseball Beer and Barbecue. That's what they tell me when I needle them. I'm like, hey, how'd you like the show? It's great, right? You want to syndicate it, right? You're going to pay us for it, right? Well, not the last part. But you can hear us on I-95 Sports Network, Back Sports Pages, RS Sports, XRP Radio, iHeart, iTunes, Arena Sports Network. And we want to thank our newest affiliate, Mile High Radio. And I think, Todd, would you like to thank someone?
I would like to thank... No, I don't want to thank anybody. I do want to hype Computer Repair NC at AJ Computers NC, 919-653-8496. Computer Repair, they fix all kinds of cool things. Did you get a new Furby? You need to throw it out. They're not going to fix that. But anything else electronic, they will fix. At CJ Computers NC, 919-653-8496. We also wish to hype Cappy's Original Wicked Hot Sauce. It's original. It's wicked. It's hot. It's sauce, and Cappy makes it, so everything is true. Find it on eBay. Hi, Ted.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I guess, you know what, Todd? We've done a great job today. I'm going to call it a show. I'm phoning it in,
Oh.
Well, no, not phoning in. I'm going to mail it in.
I was going to say, you can't phone it in because we are phoning it in. I think we're Skyping it in, but close enough. Close enough.
I phone it in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for my employer, but they don't know that.
And hopefully, like most of the world, they don't listen to this show because otherwise, now they know. Now you don't have to work next week until they forget.
I'll have to. Todd, there's so many things going on in the political world.
Are there?
Oh, yeah, well. Before we even get started, I do want to say, yes, Todd Vandenberg, I was born in Laurelton, Queens, New York. I really was. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's for Queens, it's not for you, but okay.
But there's a lot going on with politics. There's I mean, Todd, I don't know about you. I kind of want this thing to be over already.
Yeah.
I really do.
It would be nice.
I mean, I don't know if that's something bad. Just to think that we have to go through the remainder of the month and then all of October, where the rhetoric is just going to spiral even more out of control. And I say all this between both candidates because there's the third-party candidates that we aren't even hearing from, that aren't even going to be allowed to participate in the first debate. What's your take on the third-party candidates, Gary Johnson and Dr. Jill Stein?
Yeah, you mentioned the debates, and they're not fringe. They're being defined as fringe candidates because they're not polling at over 15% and whatever percentage.
Right.
That's fine. It's not Bill Spaceman Lee, which we are efforting actually to try to get on. Not that he was running for president, but he was threw his hat in the ring for governor in Vermont. But they're not fringe candidates. And third parties and fourth parties, and you can figure out which is the fourth party between the Libertarians and the Green Party. I mean, they're both third parties. They're gaining more and more influence as they win a few more local seats. And really, that's the way to go about it: is start from the bottom and work your way up, not top down. But yeah, they should be on the platform for debates. I mean, Republican Party had like 16,007 people on stage at one point. I'm sure they could handle 4 people. I'm not going to support either of the third-party candidates, and it has nothing to do with, well, they can't possibly win. I just don't particularly care for some of their stances. So I'm not going to go that route. But that's just me. I mean, there's no reason any reputable, informed person shouldn't support either Gary Johnson, former Governor Gary Johnson, or Dr. Jill Stein. If you like their policies, support them. I don't like Johnson's tax proposal. I don't think it's workable. I don't think it's fair. But that's my opinion. Dr. Stein, she has some opinions about vaccines and their effects, which I don't agree with, and I find it odd that an MD holds those opinions. And other than that, I really agree with almost all of her policy statements, but when she throws in things like that, it's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't support you. But it's a shame, it's a real shame, that they're not able to put their views out there on the national stage along with Mr. Trump and Secretary Clinton. I mean, that would be the fair thing to do. And I do want to mention one thing that came up a few weeks ago with Gary Johnson. They were talking about Syria, and someone mentioned Aleppo, and he said, "What's Aleppo?" I mean, I think he basically had kind of one of those brain farts. I'm sure he knows what Aleppo is. And even if he doesn't, there was this, I mean, since he's a third party, in air quotes, candidate, it was a minor shitstorm, but still there was a shitstorm. Oh, this disqualifies from being president. It's like, really? one blip on this guy's resume, and all of a sudden, oh, he can't be president. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? With all the things that are out there about negative things, correct negative things about Trump and about Secretary Clinton, and you're going to say, oh, this guy can't possibly be president because he didn't recognize that name of that city. It's like, yeah, he should have, but wow, really? That's what it takes to be president of the United States? An instant recall of every freaking foreign nation foreign country, city, that's in conflict. That's ridiculous. So, just come on. They should debate, period. They should be up there and not against each other. Yeah, they should be up there with Secretary Clinton and Mr. Trump. They won't be, but they should.
Do you remember during the GOP debates, and it seemed like there was the parents debate, and then there was the children's debate, and it kind of reminded me of,
Yes.
you know,
exactly.
you have the kids table,
Yep.
and you have the adult table, and you're like, all right, what's going on here? There's way too many candidates up here.
Yeah, and that's part of. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if they were okay, they, meaning the GOP, meaning the networks that are behind this, that are moderating this, then why not let these other two candidates up there?
Right.
Why
exactly.
not?
And they shouldn't have a kiddie table debate, just the two of them. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's only 4 candidates. They should be up there. And the fact that the way it's structured, you know, the kiddie table debate that they had, it's like, yeah, it's difficult to work 16 candidates. I get that. It's difficult. But when you're looking at early poll results, which basically is the early poll results are based on a lot on who has money to spend early on to get some name recognition. You know, you're not exactly making this a fair competition. I mean, there's a lot of things that should change about our political process, and the primaries are a huge, huge part of it. The fact that so many states have closed primaries, you know, and a lot of people are super pissed at the DNC because they tilted it towards Secretary Clinton as opposed to Senator Sanders, and there's no doubt that they did. But my response to that is, it makes sense to me that you would push, and they're supposed to be impartial, but it does make sense to me that you would push for someone who's been a lifelong Democrat as opposed to someone who's been a Democrat for, a year and a half? And I love Sanders. I mean, Sanders is who I supported. But from an organizational standpoint, he's been an independent in the Senate forever because he didn't follow the party line, which is to his credit. However, why are you going to push support for the person who's been independent forever and now has joined your party? Because the system is stacked against independents, as we know, which is why, again, going back to Johnson and Stein, which is why they're not at the big table. They're not even at a kiddie table, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I get that. But the whole thing is, I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm not saying it's dirty. It just needs to be revamped so it's more fair.
Todd, you're a very intelligent and great man who I really do look up to. But
oh my God, I almost did a spit take. I had beer in my mouth. What are you doing? By the way, Side Door Brewing Kolsch beer. Thank you very much, and it's delicious.
Oh, nice. And I say that because the system is rigged. Period. It's rigged. And I say that solely because these two candidates should be allowed up there. Period.
Oh, yeah, they should. Absolutely.
Not to kill TV time, not to kill screen time, but like you said, these are two other candidates that if you check, yes, they're considered fringe. They're getting less than 10%, but they matter for people. Now, I think the big question is,
Ted,
why are they not considered?
Did you say they're considered fringe or French? Because if they're considered French, they definitely should be in there. Continue your thought, which I disrupted, and which now you probably don't have any idea what to say.
No. I'm just sitting here thinking they are taking too many votes away. So it's kind of like that Nader or Ross Perot or
right.
I'm getting though that type of candidate that's siphoning votes away. And I think whether it's more of the Democrats making an issue or the Republicans, we're not going to go into that. But we can go into the fact that they are getting votes. They are getting support. Is it too little support to win it all? Probably. Okay, let's just be truthful. But is it too are they getting enough support that they can change this election? That they can change the landscape? potentially. You know, so I think, you know, the world wants it, the world sees it as HRC versus Trump, head up, once and for all, you know, a battle royale. And I don't know. Hey, just one comment I do want to say on Gary Johnson with Aleppo. I tell you, when that moment happened, Todd, I'm not afraid to say, I had no idea what they were talking, because I saw it trending on Twitter. It just said Aleppo, and I was like, what the? You know, most of the time you're sitting there like, what the hell is this? So you're clicking on it, and you're like, oh no. That just didn't happen.
He should know. I understand that, but more so than an average citizen like you or I. But you or me being the subject. Wow, that was bad. Anyway, but big deal. It's like, oh my God, he screwed up one thing. Like, who cares? Yes. I'm sure if he were elected, he would pretty much figure out what Aleppo is pretty quickly.
Oh,
that's ridiculous.
And or have the people around him that would know.
Here's the latest poll numbers that I'm seeing is Gary Johnson is polling at 8.4%. This is an aggregate poll, and this is what they are using to determine whether or not you can sit at the table. And Dr. Jill Stein at 3.2%. So combined, right?
Wow.
Just a little over 11.5% of
that's
people.
Huge.
That's huge. That's millions of people who are supporting these candidates. And not only, I mean, are they saying, well, your vote doesn't matter? Your voice doesn't matter. That's wrong.
Right.
Absolutely wrong. I mean, that's a big, big chunk to not be heard from.
This is not on our outline or anything. I'm just going to, wing it. This is an audible.
Wing it, baby.
What are your thoughts on the people that are like, hey, I'm just going to stay home? Because that just burns me, and that's been in the middle of various chat rooms I've been a part of, and I heard someone just say, hey, I'm staying home. And to me, that's unacceptable.
We had several weeks ago, we had Big Mike on, who does, he covers the University of Texas. It's the other UT, sorry, Mike, college football. And we talked a little politics because he was offended because we weren't going to talk about politics with him. So he jumped in, which is great. He's Big Mike's awesome. And he said, great. I mean, he's a liberal for Texas, as he put it, which means in a lot of states he would be conservative. He's voted for a lot of Republican candidates in the past for president. Basically, he said, who cares if you don't like any of the choices? And I don't mean of the two, even if you don't like any of the choices running for president. There's a lot of elections going on. There's state elections. There's local elections. There are things that are going to impact your life on a daily basis. Go vote. If you don't want to if you don't want to vote for Trump, if you can't bring yourself to vote for Hillary, if you're in that camp where it's like, man, I can't stand this person, but I'm not going to vote for that person either, fine. Don't vote for any of them. Leave that part blank. Go vote for your local elections. Show up and vote. By not voting in the presidential election, that's a message too. If they show that let's say there's 117 million people turn out for the election, and there are, let's say, 110 million votes cast for the presidency, that's a message.
Mm-hmm. That's a message.
I would, that's a long-standing discussion, the whole concept of, the least evil, vote for the lesser evil. And in this case, really, there are always more than two candidates, so it should be vote for the least evil, or your best possible choice, however you want to look at it. I prefer to look at it as the best possible choice. But if you don't see one, fine. Don't vote for any of them. But there are other issues going on in your community. Show up and vote for those. Show up and vote for those. And again, that was Big Mike's message, so I don't want to steal. I agree with it, but I mean, he was the one who brought it up. So thank you, Big Mike, for that take.
I will say this. and I agree with you fully, and also with Big Mike. I'm sorry I missed that show where the local politics are the ones that are going to change how you live day to day.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you really need to be involved in. So you need to know if your congressperson is up. And you know what's so sad nowadays, and I know we haven't talked a bit about baseball or football or anything, and I'm sorry, but
that's fine.
The fact that you don't know your councilman or councilwoman, you don't know your Congress, your people in Congress, you don't know any of. I mean, the fact of the matter is, most people they don't know. So when you need to contact someone like your legislator, you don't know who it is. But I mean, if there's something happening in your local municipality or your local government, your state government, I'm sorry, Hillary or Trump won't be able to help you because they're working on global issues.
Right.
So it's just to hear when people say, "Oh, I'm going to sit this one out," it just burns me. And I just wanted to just veer off the topic.
No, that's not veering off the topic at all. I mean, absolutely, you're dead on. I mean, it's not. Sit out the presidential portion if you want to, but go think about how your kid's school is if you have kids.
Yes.
School board.
Yes.
Think about that. If you're happy with it, go vote. If you're unhappy with it, go vote. And if you don't have kids, how do you feel about how you're treated by that 16-year-old cashier at the grocery store? Do you think they were properly educated?
Right.
Everybody has that at stake. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. It's like, show up. If nothing else, and I'm absolutely serious, if nothing else, show up and vote for the school board, people.
I got a quick story.
That's critical.
I got a quick story that I got to share with you because I hadn't shared this with you or Lee. Some of the issues that I was running into within, at the onset of the start of the school year for my kids.
Right.
Now, with us being in the Northeast, it's a lot later than everyone else. So
it's normal.
We start right after Labor Day. So
that's when it's
leading up to it, my kids hadn't received their textbooks. Busing was a mess. You name it. The overall, me not knowing whether or not to pick up the kids. To take the kids to school privately for the first day of school. Yes, I do send my kids to private school. I don't. It's not that I don't believe in a public education because that's what I had. I just want better for the kids.
You're elitist. That's what it is.
But here, so the situation was going down to the school and talking with some of the people, and some of the people in charge, and so school started day after Labor Day. My son was supposed to have evening drop off at after school so he can get additional help because my son, like many kids, does need additional help, and we've identified it very early, and we said, okay, we got to put a plan in place. That being said, I could not get a confirmation from the public school district, which dispatches and works with the bus companies on the PM drop-off. So it wasn't until Thursday that I've had to make provisions all during the week that I had to reach out to a friend who spoke to someone at the school board about my situation. So I'm giving you a little insight on this is the reason why you do need to vote. You do need to be in contact. You do need to know who these people are in your local community because you're going to need them someday. And it's just mind-boggling when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm sitting it out," and I'm like, no, because I sit back and say, yeah, hey, Mr. Joe Smo from the school board, I voted for you, and this is the issue that I'm having, and that's just democracy in action. And
Exactly.
It just gives you a reason why you need to vote. You need to get out there and need to do your thing. So I just wanted to share that situation of, why you need to know. We need to be educated, Todd. We need to be better educated. We need to stop letting the mainstream media just dumb us down and feed us whatever, and dig a little bit on these stories. Find out what's going on. All right, that's my take on that. You want to talk football, or we got 6 minutes before our star of the show, our guest of the show joins us.
Let's. Well, no, it's really the star because, geez, compared to us, yeah, he's the star.
I know.
I do want to give a shout out to your lovely wife Pam, who I'm sure is the person who took the point on making sure that everything works well for the kids. Because what are you doing? You're out there trimming hedges.
That's
it.
it. That's what I'm doing. And
that's it.
I got to tell you, Todd, understanding the key is here. Understanding that when you see something in your child, and a lot of us like to say, "Oh no, there's nothing wrong, and there's no issues or anything like that." But when you understand, you're like, "Nah, he or she is going to need some additional help." There's not an issue with that.
And jump in and hit it. Absolutely. My son Alex is on the autism spectrum, and we noticed some things, and we got diagnosed, and he still lives in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is where the studio is usually located when Lee is not just goofing off. Excellent school system, terrific work for special needs kids. They do a fantastic job. And then, times have changed. Times have changed so much. I know there are people who put on Facebook, it's like, wow, there's so many more kids that with this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't think there's that many more kids that have needs. It's that it's being better recognized. And that stigma that used to be there when I was a kid is, and believe me, I had needs. I had weird needs, man. And still do. No, it's seriously, it's been better recognized, and that stigma it's not entirely gone by any means, but it's a much better environment. So in a lot of ways, our society has gotten quite a bit better, and we've gotten better at recognizing, hey, if you need help, this is how we do it, as opposed to, send that person away. That's ridiculous. So.
Right. Or even worse, ignore it. Ignore it and
right. And I'm just grateful to my mom and dad they didn't send me away. They should have. They should have sent me away, but they didn't.
Ignore it.
Right.
Todd, ignore it, and when there's an issue that's persistent in school, blame the school. Don't blame your child. And I'm just you sit here, and you look at some of these parents. So what's good is you and I and Lee, we practice what we preach. We share our stories, and these are real stories. It's just like, hey.
Man. Well, like Lee, we're joking about Lee. He's taking off, he's goofing off. He's got some extra time. His wife is off gallivanting on a lovely trip with her sisters, which is cool. So Lee's taking the time instead of doing our show, and the show is very important to Lee. It really is. Yes. But he's taking time to spend extra time with his daughter because that's the cool thing to do. And it absolutely is the thing to do and the right thing to do. If he was getting paid for this gig, which would be weird because he would be paying himself, but if he was getting paid for this gig, this is what he would be doing anyway. He would be out taking Fiona, on a cool little tour of Johnson City, which is a cool little town in Tennessee. So, that's what good parenting is. It's ditching your comrades and making them work with each other when they don't like to work with each other, and hearing about their horrible childhoods. And oh my God, we have to keep on going. But thanks, Lee. Thanks for pushing this into us. Thanks. That's great. We may not be here but go ahead. Yes?
Hey, I want to...
We have 2 minutes to talk.
Take the moment out.
Nope, we have 1 minute.
Oh, we have 1 minute. All right, let's. I want to happy that we are getting more people for Baseball Beer and Barbecue, the podcast, that are beer connoisseurs. I think we got to work on the food bit.
Beer producers. Hey, I smoked some chicken breasts yesterday. Came out quite lovely. quite lovely.
Yeah?
I have no idea how long it took. It was somewhere between 2.5 and 4 hours. Seriously, I just didn't pay much attention to the time. But an electric smoker, nice way to go. You don't get that cool little smoke ring that you would if you were actually using charcoal or wood pellets or something like that. But easier to work with. Kind of set it and forget it kind of thing. It's nice. Masterbuilt, a quality brand. And they are not sponsoring us, and they should. Ted, look for that check from Masterbuilt for $100,000. Seriously, good stuff.
All right.
I had a rump roast. That sounds really disgusting. I had a cut of beef, and it's called a rump roast. And I had this piece of meat Sunday. And I was wondering, I wonder if I can smoke that, because you never hear about that. It's always just brisket, right, for beef. That's all you ever hear about. And I thought, well, I probably can smoke it. So I looked it up, and the first answer was, does it have meat? You can smoke it, which that makes sense. Right? So, came out great.
So, Todd, I want to thank you for your thoughts on what you've been doing for the past couple of weeks. But we have our special guest,
okay,
Josh Beerman of Side Door Brewery. We want to welcome John to the show.
Josh.
Yo, oh my God, Josh, how are you doing? I'm sorry.
Ted's been drinking.
Doing well.
I have early in the morning, Josh. I'm sorry, drinking early.
No problem.
So Josh, I really want to ask you the first question. So, what started you on this dark path of brewing?
Well, I started as a home brewer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin about 4 years ago.
Milwaukee?
Okay.
Yes.
Milwaukee?
Whoa. The home of brewing, kind of.
That it is.
What brought you... I'm sorry for jumping in, but, I've got 16,000 cousins up in Wisconsin. What brought you to the hot environment down here? Why did you ever leave America's home for beer?
I'm a Florida native. I lived up in Wisconsin for 3 years for work.
So you escaped. All right, sorry, Ted.
Josh, could you tell us a bit about Side Door Brewing and how it started and where's it going?
Well, Side Door Brewing, we've been open just about 10 months now. We're right up in Port St. Lucie. We're the city's first brewery, second brewery in St. Lucie County. Our owner and brewmaster, Dwayne, he started the company about 2 years ago, went through all the legal red tape and got us up and running. We've been going since December 5th of last year. We just went into distribution, I would say, 4 months ago. We're at Southern Eagle. We distribute, I think, 5 beers right at the moment. 5 different beers.
Nice. Southern Eagle's not exactly a small outfit. And again, this is Todd. And by the way, thank you for filling my growler with Kolsch. I killed the chocolate porter already and had about a pint of the Kolsch, so I'm really happy right now. What are the 5 brews that you're distributing right now?
We do our Hingepin Hefeweizen, our Painted Door Porter, our Castronova Chocolate Porter, our Whiskey Barrel Ale, and our Kolsch.
And the Kolsch it's all good. I've had it. It's lovely. So what makes Side Door stand out? Or put it in a more basic term, why should someone that's on the Treasure Coast, why should they come visit Side Door Brewing?
Really, I think the beer speaks for itself. We make an excellent product. It's pretty much handmade by Dwayne and myself. We got a great, friendly staff, knowledgeable. Take you on a tour in the back. Really, let's say we're second to none.
Nice. I'll have to come in for the tour when I get my growlers refilled. So describe, what are the standards that you always have on tap at Side Door, and what's your personal favorite of all those different things that you guys brew?
Well, some of our flagship beers, we do our Painted Door Porter, our Hingepin Hefeweizen, our Key Lime Wheat, our Kolsch, and our Castronova Chocolate Porter. Those are usually always find those on tap.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, we'll put out a nitro beer, usually one of our different stouts. One of our most popular beers is Jamaican Me Jittery. We do coffee porter, and we use locally sourced coffee from here in Stewart, as well as our Castronovo chocolate porter. All that comes from right here in Stewart as well, and Castronovo chocolates.
I've got one quick follow-up on that before we jump back to Ted. You mentioned nitro beers, and some of our listeners may not understand what the difference is between a nitro and a standard carbonation process. Okay,
well, with the nitro beers, instead of using carbon dioxide to gas the beer, you actually use nitrogen, or nitrous oxide. And it's a finer bubble, gives you a more kind of velvety mouthfeel. Much, much tinier bubbles. Have you ever seen a pint of Guinness when it's poured? It kind of cascades upwards. And that's some of the nitrogen leaving the beer.
Cool. Josh, what's your favorite beer that's available nationally?
I would say right now, probably the nationally, one I really like now is the Pseudo Sue Pistol from Top and Goliath. I know it's available Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, down here in Florida. Very, very phenomenal beer.
Well, I'm sorry. What's the name of that beer again? We had some noise.
Oh.
Pseudo Sue. It's from Top and Goliath Brewing out of Iowa.
Cool. Sorry, Ted. Back to you.
Oh. No problem. Yeah, we had some noise in the background, but Josh, what's the one beer you will not let a friend drink?
I really can't say. The beer is in the eye of the beer holder. If that's something you like and that's something you enjoy, who am I to say don't drink that?
Josh, I think Keystone Light, really? You're going to let someone drink Keystone Light?
Got my teeth on Keystone Light.
Thank you.
I would say maybe Steel Reserve or something like that. Not recommended.
But Steel Reserve is like 27 cents for a 6-pack. I mean, come on, you gotta get that stuff. Now, has there been a particular variety that you've tried to brew that it just didn't work? Like, a sawdust Spanish moss or something like that. I mean, this can be something you've done personally if you don't want to rat out Side Door Brewing.
Well, when I was homebrewing, I did make a smoked oyster stout. So I used smoked malt and 6 whole oysters in a 5-gallon batch of beer.
A smoked oyster stout. Wow.
Yes, and oyster stout is typically it's a older style of beer. You don't see it around much on the market. Basically what it was, they took oyster shells to add calcium to the beer, and that would just change your water up a little bit. Mine didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to. But
was it at all drinkable, or was it just
not quite what I was expecting.
Gotcha. I mean, personally, I hate oysters, which goes back to your comment about, the one beer you won't let a friend drink is like, I would never drink that. Sorry. Smoked shrimp, smoked fish. Yeah, I would go for that. So I've been to a few beer festivals, which makes me an expert, right? Because I've been to like 3 beer festivals. But one thing that's really stood out to me is I've seen a lot of camaraderie and a lot of cooperation among the brewers. It's like a big club. You guys, aren't you getting competition? Where's the cutthroat mentality? What's going on with you guys?
I would definitely say there's a friendly competition. Your competitors in the business world. But in this industry, there's so much freedom of information. I mean, it's great. I mean, I can call guys up at Long Necks, guys up at Sailfish. Hey, we're short on something. Do you think you can spot us? It's like asking your neighbor for a cup of sugar or something like that.
Hey, I know, exactly. I mean, that's what the last beer festival I was at. I was hanging out with the guys from Coastal Carmen. I know you know them. You work with Dave. And they were talking about it. I was like, well, so-and-so came over and they or I don't remember which was which, but someone had to borrow it wasn't a bucket. It was like a barrel of hops or something like that. It was like, yeah, cool. We'll know you're good for it. It's like, Really? It's like I doubt.
Happens every day in this business.
That's so cool. I mean, that's amazing. I really like the fact that it's like you said, it's a friendly competition.
Yep, I'm. I can't wait to try their beers, and I hope they all feel the same way.
Absolutely. There's a beer fest coming up, I believe next Saturday, isn't there, sir?
Yes, sir. It's the Stewart Beer Fest. It's going to be at the fairgrounds. I know the Arc of Martin County and Southern Eagle are sponsoring it.
It's an excellent cause. I will certainly pay my money to go there and help support the ARC and try some delicious Side Door Brewing Company. By the way, my favorite, mango salsa. Oh my God, that's killer. If you are in, I was going to say Florida, but I'll just say the southeastern United States. So Ted, it's kind of a far drive for you. So it might not quite be worth it for you, but it's close. Oh my God, that stuff is amazingly good. I mean, it's got this nice, like sick burn to it, but it's got this little bit of balancing sweetness for the mango. And it's like, oh my God, that stuff's good. Matter of fact, I tried to get a growler, and who wouldn't let me get the growler because he had to serve like actual customers?
That would be me.
That's right. I will be back when you have more on hand.
We got enough back every day. We should be able to get you a growler.
Well, like honestly, I just polished off like about a pint of the Kolsch, and man, that was nice. So, where can people find Side Door Brewing on the internet? Where can they find out more information about you guys? And what are your hours? When are you open?
We're actually kind of revamping the website right now, trying to get that up to date. Probably the best place would be to look on either Facebook or Instagram for us. And that's usually where your most up-to-date information is going to be. I know tonight we're going to be Brew at the Zoo down in Dreher Park in West Palm.
Nice.
That's going on. So Dwayne and Sam, they'll be down there. Kurt as well. Some of our other staff. Not sure off the top of my head what's going to be down there beer-wise for us.
That's cool. I wasn't aware that was going on. So thanks for the hint. Brew at the Zoo, West Palm Beach County.
Yep.
Side Door Brewing will be there. Nice. Along with a few other brewers who may be good, may not be good, but they probably won't be good as Side Door. Josh, thank you so much for being on. It was a blast. I look forward to seeing you probably, maybe in the next couple of days. Thanks
All
again.
Right. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good beer, and I'm serious. I'm going to see if I can get 3, not full growlers, because it's like half a gallon. I'm going to see if I can get 3 half growlers, and pack them in dry ice, and send them to a couple people I know, because that mango salsa.
Oh my goodness,
that's awesome. I mean, have you ever had any of the like I guess for lack of a better term, the spiced beers? And I don't mean spice like coriander. I mean like sriracha or something like that.
I went to a wine and beer festival recently in Brooklyn, and I did taste a few. But, it was just the samplers. Just the sample.
Right.
It was good as could be. Very delicious. Okay. Very delicious.
Like Josh said, everything tastes. That's why it's called taste. I mean, it matters. You may not care for that particular type because it's definitely different. And some people drinking a beer and they get this hit of jalapeno or habanero or whatever it is for their mango salsa. It's jalapenos that they use. It may not work for them. It's like I didn't want to drink a pint of hot sauce. I wanted a pint of beer.
Right.
And it's certainly not that hot. I mean, that would kill you. It's not like drinking Cappy's original Wicked hot sauce. But that's really good stuff. I would say that's the best hot spice beer that I've had is their mango salsa. And I wish they bottled it. So unfortunately for right now, it's a local thing. Man, that stuff is good. Good stuff. So I will see if I can get some and ship it to you.
Nice.
Now, Lee doesn't deserve it. Lee wasn't on today, so there you go. Shall we talk NFL, sir? Would you like to talk a little NFL?
Sure.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I wasn't sure prior to Thursday Night Football. I wasn't sure. I was like, because they're going to be 0-2, and Rex is in Fitz's head, and whew.
Apparently he's
that
not.
Was a little bit closer. Yeah, apparently not. And I think you've told me the words too soon. That hot seat, that is the hottest hot seat in the NFL right now.
He fired his OC already. 2 games in.
Already? Come on.
It's like, dude. and you look at the points, and they scored 24, but it's like one was in garbage time against a prevent defense. Another was a fumble recovery. So really, that offense didn't do much of anything against the Jets. What was time of possession? The Jets had it for 53 minutes?
I know.
It seemed that
I know. Scary. Before we even get into that, I want to tell you, and no, we are not getting a check from Twitter, but I viewed the game. I viewed the stream on Twitter.
Oh, did you?
I did not turn on the TV at all.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled up my laptop. I went to Twitter. I typed in NFL stream. Boom! It showed up on my screen. I watched it, and I know they're not filming, or they're not broadcasting some of these games in 4K, but that had to be as close as to 4K as I've ever seen it on. I was watching it on my MacBook. Yeah, my MacBook Retina screen. It was so crystal clear. So crystal clear. And, of course, it's a restream of, CBS and NBC games on Thursday night, but it was just perfect. It was, for the person that is detached from their cable provider, the person that is, and all you need is a Twitter account.
That's pretty sweet. I was curious how good it was technically. It sounds amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. Of course, commercials are there. Yeah, commercials are there and everything else like that. But
sure.
It was really awesome, and I think I will watch next week's game just the same, right on my computer. Pull it up, and you're there. And plus, because I think I like the NBC broadcasting team a little bit more than CBS.
I just want to, since you mentioned Twitter, and I just popped up and I saw over on the right-hand side, it shows who to follow. And the only 2 that were listed right then were Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd. And I got to tell you, it felt so good to follow Stephen A. Smith and ignore the Colin Cowherd thing. Man, I feel like $1 million now. I was like, damn, that was nice.
Oh, my goodness. But I will tell you this. The NFL season is here. We're in week 2, officially in week 2. Happy the football is back. Like I said, I think I shared with you during the preseason, I didn't watch a single snap, a single play of preseason football. I don't know. Just not. I guess I'm not into it like that. I just, because preseason is preseason.
Right.
But I will say this much. The other thing that you and I talked about, and this is, once again, it's football related, the demise of Darrelle Revis.
Yeah.
Todd, I haven't seen someone get so old so quick.
Since Dale Murphy?
Since Bob Horner.
Same thing, right? I don't. He's got some. I haven't seen anything specific about injuries, but I keep reading he's battling injuries. And realistically, he got burned. Really, only got burned the one time in that game, didn't he? I mean, Goodwin just torched him, but wasn't that the only big play he gave up? Because I didn't look through the stats, but I saw he gave up like one completion for 7 yards. Besides that, so
it was either 84-yard or 56-yard. I think it was the 84-yard he gave up, and it just showed him falling to the ground.
Right, exactly.
And, but here's my narrative.
No doubt about it.
It really is a bad look. You don't want to end up on that end of the highlight. But if you think about it, and what what the three of us were talking about with Revis, and I'm a big Revis fan. But Sammy Watkins, week 17 last year, game number 16, he was scorched.
Right.
The first game, A.J. Green, I mean, that was just, I don't know. And then, the big play he gave up, and because, he's Revis Island. What have we been hearing for the last 8 seasons? Revis Island. And now it's, I think he can, but the big problem is that $17 million annual payday.
Right.
You're not going to pay a safety $17 million.
Well,
shutdown corner.
You are now.
Yes.
you might be now.
I don't know.
Honestly,
too soon? Probably too soon.
I'm a Dolphin, and I think it's too soon. I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, obviously. Not obviously from this broadcast, but But
right.
I do think it's too soon to say, oh, he's done. He's given up a couple big plays. It's like, and literally, right. That's it, right? He's given up a couple big plays. I don't want to hear about Sammy Watkins. I mean, Mr. Tasty Freeze is like, because he's soft. Come on, he is. He's soft. It's like if everything is working at 100% for him, then he'll be in the game. When the game's on the line, and if he's tweaked, I don't know, an earlobe, oh my God, I got to sit out. It's like, no. I was like, I'm glad the Bills have him. So I think it's too soon to say Revis is done. Way too soon for that. I mean, yeah, he gave up a big play. It's like, okay, well then adjust for it. Understand that he needs the support that he didn't used to need. Okay, so now it's not Revis Island anymore. Okay, so make it part of a chain of islands like most defenses do. I think he'll be absolutely fine. They just have to realize it's like, okay, we can't let him 100% alone on absolute speed burners. Olympic athletes, good one. So you can't leave most cornerbacks alone in that situation. So okay, so he's not the fastest cornerback anymore. He's not a shutdown corner now. I think he's still a hell of a cornerback. I mean, I'd be glad if the Dolphins had him, just as long as they use him appropriately in the system. So
right.
I think
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think he'll be fine. I just think secondary got lit up. I mean, I look at the Jets.
Big plays.
Yes,
big plays.
They're my team. I love them. I hate them. All all the above. The D-line, great. The offense, stacked. The receiving core, stacked. Just running back, a total steal. And it's only 2 games, but I say Mike McCagnon did a heck of a job. He did heck of a job.
How far off will the running back play? And I'm not talking about Forte. I'm talking about running that position overall. Is there going to be a big drop-off when they start mixing in Mr. Powell? Because the dude can't carry the ball 500 times, okay?
No,
that's not going to happen. And he's on pace. What is he on pace for 479 carries or something crazy? He's like, obviously he's not going to do that. So are they going to see a big drop-off, or you think they'll be okay?
I think they'll be okay, but it kind of, a couple of people checked me because I was thinking about LaDainian Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. Remember that first season he came to the Jets, and he was just phenomenal. And then, towards the end of the year, he teetered out because I'm like, yeah, you overused him.
Exactly. I think Bowles is way too smart for that to happen. I think Bowles is too smart for that to happen. I mean, I think you'll see. I think you'll see his touches drop. Not Bowles' touches. That would be weird. I think you'll see Matt's touches drop a lot next week, and I hope so for his sake, because otherwise it's going to be the same thing. He's by the time the last few weeks will run around, he's going to be useless. I mean, I understand you want to ride arguably your best offensive player, your most consistent performer. I think that's fair to say. In this really hard, the schedule's stacked against him. I understand that.
Schedule is stacked.
But it's 16 games, dude. It's not 6. You got to protect Forte a little more than just run him out there constantly. So, and like I said, Bowles is smart, and I think he will.
Yeah, and I think Bilal Powell is going to he's going to make a big impact this season. I just like the pieces they have around them. You name the position, they're good. Is Rivas going to be okay? He's going to be okay. I think he will. Hey, so what's going on with the Dolphins?
I was just going to say, I know one quarterback who probably won't torch Mr. Rivas, and that's Mr. Tannehill. Man, I'm hopeful that he performs well. The team looked much better than I expected against Seattle. I thought if they played well and they came out with not too bad of a loss, that's good for going against Seattle, because Seattle's going to have a chip on their shoulder this entire season. It's their home opener. That's a tough gig. Yes. And they came out losing by 2. That's pretty good. However, Kenny Stills, when the Amazon drone brings you the football and drops it in your hands, and the closest person to you is your grandmother in your dreams, you got to hold on to that ball, dude. You can't drop that frickin' ball. So thanks for your contribution to the loss. Ryan Tannehill, when there are 32 seconds left on the clock and you got no timeouts and you got to drive to within field goal range, you don't take a sack. Twice. Throw the ball away, dude. Nothing good is going to happen from you taking a sack, moron. Throw the ball as far as you can. Maybe one of your receivers will run under it. Odds are it's going to be intercepted. But you get sacked, game's over anyway. Take a chance. Take a 10% chance at something good happening. Don't take a sack. Okay, so you've got a person who is acknowledged as a pretty good offensive mind as the head coach now, Adam Gase. And you've been working with a couple quarterbacks who kind of know how to play the position, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, and you still make those plays. It's like, dude, just do us a favor. Do us a favor. Move to slot receiver. Make yourself useful, because you're not a quarterback, dude, making those decisions. That's stupid. He made some good throws, like the pass that Kenny Stills dropped. He's a serviceable quarterback if he gets time. He's a good quarterback. But in the NFL, you need a quarterback who can make throws when he doesn't have time. And you need a quarterback who can make smart decisions. And I'm not saying that's Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is much better than that, but he makes smart decisions.
Right.
Your boy makes smart decisions for the most part. Yeah, he screwed up some games, but man alive, that against the Bills, he was on point. Which going back to that game and going back to Rex Ryan is talking about a hot seat. And you brought in your brother who absolutely destroyed the defensive reputation of the Cowboys and the Saints. It's
and the Saints.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely awesome. How's that conversation going to go when they ask him to fire Rob? Because that's coming. And oh my God, Rex, what a
Todd, joke. I think Rex is getting prepared for an opportunity at the NFL Network. That's the only thing I can think of when he brought in his brother. I said, oh yeah, he's going to cash out, because you got to think about it. With coaches, it's different. He's got a 5-year guarantee deal. Well, yeah, go fishing and remove the lap band, So,
and lick his wife's shoes, apparently.
Oh, but you got a 5-year deal,
right?
You got a 5-year deal, okay, which I thought was crazy. I said, okay, this is a guy who hadn't had a winning season, in several years. I mean, they went 8-8, the next to the last year with the Jets. But I sit here and say, you got this deal. I don't know why. Number one, I don't know why he chose Buffalo. I would have chosen Atlanta. I would have chosen Atlanta that had all the pieces, that had all the offensive weapons, and you could just focus on the defense.
It just occurred to me.
What?
He's the NFC. I'm sorry. He's the AFC version of Jeff Fisher. He's a guy who's living off his reputation from 10 years ago, and gets big guaranteed contracts, and is almost guaranteed to do nothing but give you mediocrity.
I have no
very
idea.
Weird contract set.
I have no idea. I'm just going to leave Rex as he is. I have no idea how Jeff Fisher has been coaching for 20 years, and he's had 6 winning seasons.
I liked Jeff Fisher a lot when he was the coach of the Titans. He had a couple rough years at the end there, which is why he's no longer a coach. And who does that sound like? Rex Ryan. And then he goes to another organization. So, and that's the other possibility that we haven't considered because it's so ridiculous. But there's Jeff Fisher. Who's to say Rex Ryan's not going to be in Buffalo 10 years from now?
You're right.
Maybe he'll go 9.
Right.
He'll go 9-7. He'll go 6-10. He'll bounce back with 8-8, 8-8, and then he'll be on Hard Knocks, live streaming on Twitter probably, talking about how dismissing some player because that's not what a 7-9. We're not a 7-9 organization. Like, yeah, you are, dude. Actually, the organization might not be, but you're a 7-9 coach. Like, how does that guy still have a job? That's amazing. Fisher, that is.
Yeah, what's strange to me, to switch back to Rex Ryan, is he's been the coach there for 1 season, and they basically put him on notice. The Pagulas have put him on notice, and which I thought was a little quick. But I spent some time yesterday in the mailroom talking with, of course, sports aficionados that they sit in the mailroom. My good friends Roy and Rob, and they mentioned my friend Roy is a Buffalo Bills fan. God bless him. And he mentioned, he said, Ted, it's not the 1 season with Rex Ryan. It's the overall encompassing 16 seasons that they haven't made it to the playoffs.
Makes sense.
That's what he's dealing with.
Makes absolute sense. And that's why you give him a 5-year guarantee contract to say, okay, we're guaranteeing you've got time to turn this around, but we want to see results, which is kind of contraindicating, but it makes sense. It's like we're saying, okay, the pressure's off because you're making the money. However, we're tired of this crap. You got the track record. Unfortunately, your track record is 10 years old, and we forgot that. But but here's the good thing. If they do fire Rex, let's say they fire Rex in December, whatever, they give up, and they run out the chains, you know what they could do? They could trade like a number 2 draft pick in 2017 and a 3 in 2018 and get the rights to Jeff Fisher. That would be perfect.
Oh, that would be perfect.
That makes me happy as a Dolphins fan.
I got to tell you this much, because there's nowhere Fisher. I mean, after watching that 49er Ram game on Monday night, I said, this is painful.
I don't think that was a game. I think that was a scrimmage. I think they mislabeled that.
Painful.
That was painful. And to be fair, it's one game, and we'll see how they play against the Seahawks, because they play the Seahawks tough. I mean, it's unfortunate that Lee is actually taking care of family duties and being a good parent today, because he would like to talk about that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, that game is going to be one of 2 things. I don't think there's anything in between. The Seahawks are either going to win that game like 38-0, or they're going to win the game 9-7. You know, because the Rams always play them. And I cannot imagine the Rams not bouncing back with a decent effort, because the Niners are a bad team, man. It's not like they were playing against a good team. They were playing against a bad team. And
you got to sit here. You got to sit here, Todd, and think about the only reason anyone is mentioning the Rams is because of the Colin Kaepernick situation. That's the only reason they were getting mentioned.
Yep. That's
so,
true.
What's going on with the UFC Ultimate Fighter?
Ultimate Fighter. Have you caught any of that at all?
I haven't caught any of that.
Because it gets to be kind of the same thing over and over. So I'll catch one season here and I'll watch them and go back in it. But this season is really interesting. And no, they're not paying us to say this. They went with a different idea, because I think they realized it was getting to be kind of tired. So they went around the world, really, and looked at smaller organizations. They found flyweight champs, 16 different organizations around the world. A lot of them are here in the U.S., but that's fine. It's smaller scale promotions. They got these 16 champions all fighting in the Ultimate Fighter format. They have a fight every week. They narrow it down to the final winner on the last show. The winner doesn't just get a contract to the UFC, doesn't just get, a Harley or a car or whatever the hell they're given lately. Gets a title shot at Demetrius Johnson. That is a hell of a prize. A hell of a prize.
That is a prize.
And these guys are good. These guys are really good. You definitely want to watch. I'm sure it's available. I don't know what it's available on, what streaming service, but it's out. I'm sure it's out there. If you have cable, it's definitely out there on your cable situation. But watch the premiere show. It was 2 hours. They had 2 fights on there. Both those fights were really good. Very different fights. One was just an absolute throwdown for 3 rounds. The other one didn't last 3 rounds, but it was a very cool fight to watch too. And you can see the level of competition is clearly different than it is in most of these Ultimate Fighters. Because every show, every season, there's a couple guys that's like, you think these are guys who just hang out at the gym and they shadow box and they think they're MMA fighters. It's like, no. That's not the situation this season. These dudes are good. The guys who are losing, they're really good fighters. I mean, you can just see the level of competition is different. I think a lot of these guys are going to get UFC offers. Some of them have already been in the UFC and, had a string of a couple losses, whatever, got bumped down, and they're working their way back up. So Joseph Benavides, Henry Cejudo are the coaches. They're getting into it a little bit. I mean, they're being fairly respectful, but they're going to fight against each other on the finale show when that happens, which I think it's December. But that's going to be a hell of a fight. Benavides and Cejudo, nice fight. And, of course, I'm sure the winner of that will probably get a title fight against Demetrius Johnson, or if one of these guys beats him. That being said, I have not seen a guy yet who is ready for Demetrius Johnson. But if you crossed Spider-Man and Superman and Captain America, I don't think he would quite be ready for Demetrius Johnson. That dude, he's not a large man, obviously, because it's flyweight. That dude is an absolute beast. Oh, my gosh. So it's kind of like they're going through a bunch of fights for the right to be thrown into a wood chipper, but they all want it really bad. That's for sure. And this is probably the best season I've seen of Ultimate Fighter since the very first season. Really good. There's not much of the reality show crap where it's like, oh, let's see what kind of pranks. I mean, these dudes are all very respectful. There's very little BS in the background. It's more about the prep and more about the fights. It's really, really good season. So you definitely want to catch Ultimate Fighter this season.
Hey, I want to kind of stay on the same UFC topic. Something happened, I think it was last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I'm not even sure. I just want your thoughts on Mickey Gall versus CM Punk.
Yeah, last week. CM Punk, I know you saw it. Boy, CM Punk was not ready, was he?
No.
He landed one strike. That was it. Gall took him down, pounded him out. And I'm not mocking Punk at all for it. I mean, he decided he was fed up with WWE. He was fed up with the politics. He wanted to go into a competition where your effort and your performance is what matters, period. Not, who in the promotion, et cetera, et cetera. Although in a way, it's kind of how he got in the UFC, right? For the notoriety. That's why he was third on the card, because he was CM Punk, not because he's a guy who's been working at mixed martial arts for 2 whole years at the age of 37. If he wasn't CM Punk, he wouldn't be in UFC, period, let alone be on the main card. And I think Dana White may have even said something along the lines of it might be better if he drops out of UFC and gets some fights under his belt. I know Joe Rogan said that, but if Dana White says it, that obviously carries a little more weight. That being said, he just isn't ready. That doesn't mean the effort wasn't there. That doesn't mean the heart's not there. He gave a great interview in the Octagon afterwards, just basically said, he owned it, and he said, hey, man, I wasn't ready for him, but this is my dream. I'm coming back. As he said it was the best night of his life after his wedding day. Best day of his life. And he got the crap beat out of him. That shows this guy wants it. I thought that was terrific. As far as Gall goes, Gall was given a terrific opportunity. He wouldn't have been on the main card, except he stepped up and said, yeah, I want this guy. And, man, did he ever make the most of it. So he is now a rising star all of a sudden for UFC, and we'll see how he holds up with that. But, he's been doing that in all of his fights, just no one's noticed because, they're on the prelims or they may even been on UFC Fight Pass. But, so, good for CM Punk for making that effort and hanging in there and giving an opportunity to a young guy. I think Gall's 24. And he created a UFC star by losing. So that was a good night. It wasn't much of a fight, but it was a good night for those two guys.
Yeah, I did see the effort. We kind of look at the end result, and I was quick to jump on Twitter and oh my goodness, because the entire night I was waiting for that match. That's what I was waiting for. Sure, and I'm sure many millions others, a million other people who probably ordered the card were. It was the same.
That's why he was on it. Absolutely, and he absolutely got destroyed.
And when they played Cult of Personality, it kind of had that WWE feel to it. I was like, as he was walking in, I said, "Oh my goodness!" And for just a quick second, I said, he's going to pull it off. He's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat. And then he stepped into the octagon, and I said, uh-oh. This is not scripted. This is not someone from the creative team putting together a script saying, okay, so this is how it's going to play out. That's what we saw that was different.
I think they told him he couldn't come off the top of the octagon, and that's what threw his game off. So.
Oh, my goodness. I will say this. The fact that he said he's coming back, shows a lot. And
absolutely.
I kind of like, also with you, I hope he doesn't come back to UFC. I hope he comes back to one of the, lesser leagues. And, if he's going to stay with it, then, get that experience under his belt, get that time under his belt.
Very much where he needs to be. I think of this as like the Tim Tebow thing. Tebow got a lot of notoriety, and of course your Mets have signed him to a minor league contract.
Yes.
Punk has been working at it for 2 years. Now, it's been 2 years because he had injuries twice that threw him back. Otherwise, Punk would have been in the ring probably, 8 months after he made that decision, in the octagon, rather.
Right.
And he would have been on a card just like that. So you do have to give credit to the Mets as, they didn't sign Tim Tebow and it's like, hey, let's bring him up for the pennant drive. That would almost be the equivalent.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
No, you don't do that. And of course, that's the difference between you have a team success depending on you and an individual sport. Nothing was at stake for anybody except Punk and UFC's ratings, and they knew it was going to help the ratings, so it made sense for them. I'm not knocking them for putting him up there. He just wasn't ready. He absolutely does need to go to a smaller organization, get some fights under his belt. Of course, the problem for him is he's 37, calendar's rolling every time. But just like Tebow, if his heart's really in it, and I think Tebow's heart's really in this, I don't knock him at all for wanting to play baseball. It would be bad if he had said, it's like, well, I'll sign with whoever guarantees me a spot on the 40-man roster. That would be ridiculous. that would be absolutely stupid. He didn't say that. He just wants an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with that. Which, speaking of, I believe tomorrow is when the Instructional League opens up here in Port St. Lucie. Tim Tebow will be here after he fulfills his SEC network duties today. Which is weird.
What's so crazy about it is, in the agreement, he's going to be able to leave the Instructional League to go fulfill his SEC duties, and you're like,
that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. It's like, dude, if you want to play baseball, you need to play baseball. If you want to be a broadcaster, that's fine. But I wouldn't have done that if I was the Mets. It's like, dude, if you're serious, you're serious, okay? We don't give people in the Instructional League the weekend off, so they can do whatever their hobby is. And I understand it's a high-paying gig for them, but it's like, decide, man. I mean, if you really want to push this, is like, put everything into it. You're not putting everything into it. So that one I do hold him for, is like, come on, man. And this must not be your dream if that's how you're pursuing it.
The Mets are also signed him to a deal for the Instructional League for $100,000. So it's nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to sneeze at. What was I going to say?
That's a little more money. It's a little more money than guys going to the Instructional League normally would get.
Right. So tell me this much: would you have a problem if the Mets are having their playoff run, and all of a sudden you hear on the local broadcast, you got Gary Cohen, you got Ron Darling, and you got Keith Hernandez, and they say all of a sudden, "Oh my goodness!" and then the screen, the Pepsi screen, or the Coke screen, lights up, and it's a picture of Tim Tebow in the booth. And kind of reminiscent, I'm trying to recreate. I'm doing a bad job of Susan Waldman with Roger Clemens. And she's like, "Oh my God, Roger Clemens is here!" Oh, I like to think this is the real deal, but I don't know. There's a little part of me that says, okay, this is so. Spring training is going to be a zoo with Tim Tebow in Florida.
Oh yeah. And I'll be there for some of it. First off, you mentioned Coke, and because I thought of Coke before you even said it when you mentioned Keith Hernandez, so I was wondering where the Coke is up there. And as a Marlins fan, I was very disappointed when you said, "Can you imagine him in the booth as opposed to Tim Tebow at the plate?" Because I would much rather see Tim Tebow at the plate this September. As a Marlins fan, that would make me happy. That would really make me happy.
And the
booth,
I'm sure
like,
you
okay,
would.
I don't care. But please, put him in and right, and put him in at cleanup. I think they need to do that right now, and I think they need to keep him there through October 2nd because we're a couple games back and we need some help. So please, Ted, make that happen.
He just might do a better job than what Jay Bruce is doing for the Mets right now. I will tell you that much. Todd, you're not going to believe this, but we've gone 78 minutes and we have barely touched baseball. So I guess, we touched it a little bit with Tim Tebow. We just touched it with Tim Tebow. But is he really a baseball player or is he a broadcaster?
He's a broadcaster.
He's a broadcaster.
He's a professional baseball player. He's getting paid to learn how to play baseball, so he's a professional baseball player. But he makes more as a broadcaster, so he's a broadcaster.
Todd, before we go to baseball, what is one if you were in the Tim Tebow seat
Yes.
and you wanted to learn to do something, and they were going to pay you to do it, what would that be?
Mm-hmm. I would be a paid intern. I would be an apprentice. I would be happy as hell, especially if they paid me $100,000 to learn how to podcast. What would that be in your mind, Ted?
I think I would probably want to be, truthfully, like a
gigolo?
Well, two things. Well, of course, a gigolo, but I think I would probably want to be like an advanced scout, because and it doesn't matter the sport. Of course, I would like it to be in baseball, but I would like to be like an advanced scout where you're traveling the country, you're looking at the upcoming players, you're getting to evaluate them, and everything is comped, and you're just there, just sitting there with the speed gun, the pitch gun, and you're just recording this type of stuff, and you're just like. That's, to me, that's like living a fantasy, because you got great weather. You're everything is covered, carte blanche, and you're just living a life.
Just to prove to the audience that your lovely wife Pam never listens to the show, Ted admitted that he would like to be a gigolo, and that his other dream job would be to an advanced scout for women's beach volleyball. So there you go.
Oh my goodness.
See how your mind works, Ted. I
could be the director of creative for the NFL to hire women for coaching and scouting positions. I'm like, what? Did you hear that this week?
The director of creative. Blah? I didn't hear the blah part.
The director of creative. The NFL created a new position to ensure that women are hired as scouts and coaching opportunities. And I'm like, I think that's great, but I hope that's really the goal and it's not just like a window dressing.
That sounds like window dressing. I think you could achieve the same goal by just, at one of your annual meetings saying, hey, you guys may have missed this, but 53% of the population you guys aren't looking at for these jobs. Maybe you should look at that.
Right.
It seems much more like, hey, look how inclusive we are. We've created a position. So, yeah. That's
What's going
NFL,
on with baseball,
though. It's all about window dressing. Baseball, Boston is still playing really well. Baltimore and Toronto are just 2 games back of Boston in the standings, and that thing is going to go to the wire. The Yankees, who were dead in the water and then got rid of a bunch of trash, they're 4 back in the wild card situation. Amazing, isn't it? It's like the Yankees are the team to beat in the East next year. That's for sure. The Tribe, unfortunately, is 7 ahead of my main baseball team, the Detroit Tigers. Tigers are 3 back in the wild card situation. The Texas Strangers are 9.5 up in their division. But Lee's Mariners, his other team, they are the hottest team in the American League. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they're just 3 out of the wild card. So they've come back from nowhere. National League. Speaking of the National League, the Nationals, for whom the league is named, doesn't quite work that way, but they have a huge lead. I mean, that division's almost done. They're 10 up on your Mets, 15 up on the Marlins. Marlins are right there for the wild card, though. The Cubs clinched back in May. They made it official Thursday night while they were sleeping, 94-53. Cubs are such a bunch of slackers. The St. Louis Cardinals, who are only 2 back of the wild card, because, as I say every week, it is in the bylaws of the National League that they will be in the playoffs. They're 18 back for their division, and of course it's over, but they're only 2 back in the wild card, which shows you how damn good the Cubs are. And Lee's LA Dodgers, they're 4 up in their division. San Francisco, they're only 4 back in the division. They're actually a game ahead for the wild card. And they have, I believe, the second worst league record in the National League since the All-Star break, or the worst, and they're still in it, which shows you that the National League is other than the Cubs, are basically in a bunch of turmoil. So that's your wild card standings, that's your regular season standings. Do you think, and I'm quite happy that the Marlins somehow managed to get Giancarlo Stanton back from absolutely ripping his groin into 7 pieces, and he's back. And he was batting second last night. But I think it's too late. Too late. They're 5 back on the wild card, and you know, St. Louis is the other team that they would have to jump over, so that ain't going to happen because, well, we know St. Louis has got to be there. So how do you feel about your Mets' chances to make the wild card? Do you have confidence in your Mets? Do you think Tim Tebow will make the difference?
I think Tim Tebow will make the difference, but as long as we have Bartolo Colon pitching on every 5th day, oh my goodness, 14-7 through 7 shutout innings last night. This guy is unbelievable. 43 years young. And the fact of the matter that the rest of the pitching is decimated, just throw Bartolo out there every other day. But
and I know you've said it before, but how can you overstate how important Colon has been?
Oh my goodness!
And it almost
he's
sounds
been
like he's been what?
God, he's been the linchpin. He's been the linchpin. Totally. They would be in the crapper if it wasn't for this guy. You know, I mean, you hear it every day. Well, you know, if you were living in the tri-state area, you would hear it every day about how important Bartolo is to this pitching staff. You know, I mean, and these were the thoughts last year as we lost the World Series, and, you know, you start looking at who to sign. The first, you know, one of the first people signed were Bartolo because he can chew up innings.
Right.
So, you know, the Mets are the Mets. Wild card best. Will they possibly get bounced? They could get bounced. You know, similar to what the Yankees went through last season, and that's understood. But Bartolo's important, and hands down, best player on the team is Yoenis Cespedes.
Yeah.
And already, you know, the talk is he's going to opt out. Yes, he loves New York. And what New York needs to do, we were talking, a lot of people are talking 4 years, $25 million per. So that's a 4-year, $100 million deal. Could seal him, you know, he would sign with no problem. He loves New York, blah, 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 blah. But with the Mets, who knows? Because you look at that big bat, you see what he does in the outfield. Every once in a while, he has a brain fart out there and tries to hot dog it like last night and blows it. But then he'll make that he'll make it back up. But you know, I still say exciting time, and David Wright is starting to rehab for next season.
Oh my God!
So all the people that were thinking
that's terrible news.
Yeah, I know it's terrible. It's terrible. All the people that were thinking that he was going to retire and that money would come off the books and it would go to insurance. Nah, he's coming back.
I got 2 comments about your Mets. First, Colon. Past 6 weeks, he's 5-1 with a 2.21 ERA. It was like, that's crazy what he's doing down the stretch. as far as affording Cespedes, here's what you do. Donald Trump buys the Mets.
Okay.
By financing them with a $3.8 billion loan from his pals in Saudi Arabia and China, and Putin can go in too. Putin can be a minor. It's all going to be off the books because, you know, there's no tax returns. There's no paperwork trail. There never is. And then what he does, he flips it. Next year, the Mets declare bankruptcy, and he's off the hook. And Major League Baseball takes over the Mets. It's a perfect plan. We get the Wilpons out of there. Yeah, absolutely. And when Major League Baseball takes over, they'll void the contract for Mr. Wright, so that saves you another $7,000 billion in cap room because they'll be able to do it because it's the commission. You know, they can do whatever they want. So there you go.
Right.
Your Mets are safe. Trump will be your savior. Just get used to Putin in the broadcast booth, okay? That's gonna happen.
So yeah, that's what's happening with the Mets. It's exciting times back in Queens.
By the way,
they're heating up.
By the way,
at
Ted,
time.
Here's another great thing. When Trump takes over the Mets, every Tuesday, the first 1,500 kids get radioactive polonium. So you got that going for you, too.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so what else is happening? Are we
not much. Are we done? We're done. Big college football games today. I know you don't really care about college football, but a huge game coming up in just half an hour. Number 10, Louisville, hosting number 2, Florida State. And Louisville's quarterback, Jackson, this guy, oh, my God. And he looks like Spider-Man playing quarterback. I mean, Ted, if you're going to watch a college football game this year, seriously, this might be the game to watch other than, like the championship game next at the end of the season.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I watched Ole Miss and FSU. So I'm going to watch. Tell me which game should I watch this week?
That's the game to watch this week. Those are the 2 highest ranked. I think that'll be the best game. A lot of people are actually picking Louisville to pull off the upset, partly because it's at home and partly because Lamar Jackson is like nuts. Ohio State and Oklahoma is going. Ole Miss and Alabama is going today. So there are some nice ranked matchups going. But man, that's the game I'm going to watch is the Florida State at Louisville game, and I really hope Louisville pulls it off, just because it would be a cool story. I like Florida State, but that would be neat to see Louisville up. Florida State's always up there, basically. Other than when they're like stealing guns and books and stuff, whatever they're doing. So it would be cool. It would be cool to see Louisville jump up there. They're also celebrating Muhammad Ali at the stadium today. So they've got little stickers on the back of their helmets, all kinds of cool stuff. So
hey, Penn State is actually honoring Joe Paterno today, also.
I was going to say something really terrible and off color, so I will. Are they having a child rape booth to celebrate? Is that what they're doing? Because that would be the way to honor his legacy. That would be
my goodness.
First 1,500 kids in the gate get raped by the assistant head coach. They let him out of jail.
That
and they
one
brought
up
in
for
Sandusky.
you. Oh my God!
Thank you, I appreciate it. That's that whole thing. It's like I get wanting to honor him, but he kind of lost the right to be honored by just watching things happen for decades.
And not saying and not doing anything.
Decades, not just years. Decades. So they're winning national championships while one of his assistant coaches is out doing unspeakable things there. So at the facility, not really great. So, I think that's not quite the best thing for them to do. I think the way you would honor his legacy, if there's any way to do it, is to have Penn State create an awareness program, which they may have done, but they need to put more money into it and do something that way. You don't put up a statue of a guy who, supported a predatory pedophile for decades. Not a good look, Penn State. Not a good look at all.
Hey, before we could get on out of here, I heard something on Thursday. I was on the train coming home. Yeah, it was on the same day that I was at Penn Station, the same day that someone was standing outside of Penn Station with an axe in their hand, and they attacked a police officer, but the police officer is fine. And the officers did fire 18 shots, and somehow this man that had the axe is still alive. So with all that being said, I was in Penn Station. I hopped on my train to go home, and a message came up on my phone that Cinema Savants was doing a special show, and I just got excited because I said, man, I really love hearing the show. That's one of the great shows that's on the Happy Hour Network. What is the status of Cinema Savants? I hate to put you on the spot, but
not sure. Not sure what the status is, although apparently there's going to be a segment on an upcoming show that you're very well familiar with on Sunday night. So that'll be fun.
Yes.
Before we talk more about that, I do want to make sure I throw in a plug for Jed Mishu's Fist Fight Fan Club. It's going to be on Monday night this week, because he's going to do a recap of UFC Fight Night. And Jed's, man, his show is awesome. So glad that he joined our network. So that'll be Monday night, Fist Fight Fan Club. Say it 6 times fast and punch yourself in the throat. See how much you like that. Anyway, back to your show, Ted. Sunday night, 7 p.m., 12:40 a.m., WGBB, Long Island, New York. I will have none other than the pleasure of having Mr. Todd Vandenberg join for a segment to talk about Cinema Savants, a show that I love because, you know, we talk about a lot of cool things on our network, but one of the coolest is movies, TV shows, streaming technologies that are out there to watch these shows nowadays, how entertainment is delivered, the Emmy Awards this Sunday night. I mean, you name it, it's about entertainment, it's about films, it's on Cinema Savants. So looking forward to having you join the show Sunday night. I thank you for the invite. That'll be fun. Is there going to be anything entertaining or interesting on your show, though? Surely you're going to have something good on the show that night, that episode.
Oh, we definitely always do. We definitely always do. I will tell you, between the Wednesday podcast on Happy Hour and Sunday nights on 12:40 a.m., we're going to be talking with a couple of parents. Dr. John Duffy, he created the Transgender Teen. I mean, he wrote the book, The Transgender Teen, and it just explores the unique challenges that thousands of families face every day with raising a teen who may be transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, you know, otherwise gender expansive. We talk about these different types of topics on the show. You know, I last week's show, you know, we talked about September 11th because it happened to be on September 11th, and we talked about experiences and the stressors and the Zildjian Act. You name it. We kind of have different topics on the show that drive the show, and it's kind of leave it there. But happy to have you on. Love the fact that the Cover 32 Seahawks show, I got excited once again because I said I see that show just continuing to expand. You know, that's one of Lee's babies, not named Fiona.
It's huge. So you got that. You have our show, Baseball Beer and BBQ, which we love doing. You have definitely other fringe type shows that either are in the process of coming back to the network or coming back online, like NBA Full Court Press. You got Earnestly Speaking podcast. Rob Steele plays a big part on the network. You know, it's really good times, and I really do enjoy working with our friends on the network because Ted,
it's a lot of creativity.
There is, and you left out one big special event that's coming up, Donnie J's birther show, where he talks about how he believed, you know, some people weren't born here for years, and then he makes a statement that he finally believes that he was born here, and he gets congratulated, basically, for not being a complete freaking moron, finally. So in one tiny little aspect. So good for you, Donnie.
Good for you, Donnie. You ran with this for 5 years. For 5 years. I mean, it's just a disgrace. Just an utter disgrace. You know. So, other than that, I think our guys. We have some guy named Rob logged in right now. So we're gonna go live to Rob. We're going to go live to Rob.
Yeah, you're going to have to unmute me first, and then I'll be happy to show up.
There we go.
Rob, do you have a comment on the birther issue? Were you born in the United States? Can you prove it?
Depends. It was North Carolina. Is that a state?
Oh,
I don't know. Hard to tell now, isn't it?
It's hard to tell. My question for the whole birther thing, and it has been since day one, let's say hypothetically that Hawaii is somehow no longer a state, so he was born somewhere else. Now, the guy in question was just elected to be the president of the United States, but wait, he was born, where was it, Haiti or, Kenya, or
Kenya.
somewhere else that's not a state. Let's say they find out he was born somewhere else after he was elected. What exactly are you going to do? I mean, there's not a rewind button.
You have a reality show. You have a reality show, Rob. That's what you do.
I guess we're going to cross the presidency with Doctor Who and go back in time and get Marty McFly in his DeLorean. They're building a new DeLorean, by the way. I have no idea what that has to do with the show. But anyway, go back in time and do a Marty McFly thing. Yeah, there you go.
That would work.
No, it wouldn't.
How are you, Rob?
Sorry, what?
How are you?
I have no idea. I've been up since entirely too early this morning. Been outside doing a yard. See, I talked to Ted. Ted knows I'm doing a yard sale thing today because I've got entirely too much crap in my house.
Oh, my God. That's awful.
Yes. Ted said he wanted to do a yard sale too, and I'm betting it would be better to do it where Ted lives up north rather than the heat and humidity that is Augusta, Georgia.
Oh.
It was nice this morning, and then the sun came up, and it's not nice anymore. Especially for those of us who
by night.
Not necessarily vampires, but I don't even like to be outside. You know?
By nice, do you mean 85 and 70% humidity before the sun came up?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Why are all these clothes wet? Because they're outside and it's sticky. What do you expect?
No, you just wash them. So
I washed them, and we can't hang them up to dry because there's no point. They'll just continue to be wet. That's just stupid. Who decided to create weather like this? Maybe it was the same guy who's going to be on Ted's show that created the transgender teens.
Oh!
I'm sorry. I heard that a minute ago, and I laughed quite a bit. Thank you. I needed that. Blame him for it. That's fine.
Hey, I just want to chime in and say, do you guys realize that today is Batman Day? Does that mean anything to you?
Ted, every day is Batman Day.
That is also true.
Actually, I should have said that. Every day is Batman Day. Can't really do it, but, as close as I can come without hurting my throat. Rob, can you do that? Can you do the Batman growl?
Let's see. No.
Not even an attempt.
I'm not. No. I've tried doing Batman voices before, and it turns out horrible. It sounds more like 80-year-old smoking woman. And
I believe that's who does the voice of Batman, though.
Turns out bad.
Ted, can we hear your Batman voice?
What are you talking about, Todd?
Ooh, that wasn't bad. You ran that through Audacity Live, didn't you? That's not just you.
Yes, I did.
You cheated. You cheated. You cheated. You called Lucius and had him rig up something for you quickly. That's sad. Yeah, I'm closer to doing board voice.
I think today's podcast has run about as long as B versus S.
Oh, jeez.
And more violence and more entertainment value.
Yes.
The movie wasn't that bad. It was better than Corey Feldman on the Today Show, but it wasn't that bad.
Oh, I missed it.
Good.
If you want to see it, it looks... it's weird. Anyway.
Well, it's Corey Feldman, so...
No.
It'd be great.
No, this is Corey Feldman. I'm not sure what he was on when he did this. But it was something.
Several things,
Might
I'm
get
sure.
to be a hallucinogen.
He's a top consumer of those products, I think.
I think he is one of those products. It's
quite likely.
Because if you have a chance to watch whatever it was that he did, and it's all over the net, so you'll find it, you'll think that you are hallucinating while you're watching it because I'm not sure if it's actually bad. It's just not lucid. It's bizarre, and you just watch it and go, well, what is he do? And then you have to look away from the screen and make sure that nothing else is actually moving, because whatever's on the screen isn't making any sense at all. So you have to get a reality check somewhere else, look around the room. Okay, that's a picture of my daughter, and she's not moving, so I must be sober, but I'm looking at Corey Feldman, and oh my God, what is this? It's one of those bizarre Salvador Dali experiences. Nice.
So I'll listen to it when we wrap this up, but I am looking at some stills. So apparently he wore a hoodie, which is that's important if you're Corey Feldman. And apparently this album took him 10 years to make, so that's also good. And he worked really hard. Really, really hard. I see he was channeling Kylo Ren and Snoop Dogg at the same time. That's interesting.
I think there's a little bit of Jeff Hardy in there, too.
That would make perfect sense. Speaking of, maybe that's his connection for those substances. That would work, too.
It could be. I don't know. I just work here. So anyway.
So since I have the two of you on here, what's the haps of Cinema Savants?
What do you think, Rob? Should we talk about movies we hate?
We can do that.
Yeah, let's talk about movies we hate.
As for the show, my only thing I'm going to say about the show is not Thursdays. Otherwise, I'm in. Let me know.
Not Thursdays is good, because Thursdays is not good.
Well, see, there we are then.
I will
think the
contact
Cosby show
you.
Was still on, but yeah, no, that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, it's still on. It's just a more adult format once those trials start.
Oh, there we go. Did you see that he's blind now?
Yes.
That's sad.
I have no idea if that has anything to do with what he did, but that's just kind of, ooh, really? Okay. Whatever. Okay, so movies we didn't like. Have you seen Sully yet?
I've not seen Sully yet. I thought about it. Have you seen Sully?
No.
This is the impromptu special edition of Cinema Savant. No, I've not seen Sully. I've not seen Snowden. I did see. Actually, I watched the most recent Fantastic Four debacle. I just caught that last night on one of these streaming services.
Painful.
I thought I would actually suffer through it, and it wasn't as bad as I was led to believe. It was bad, but it wasn't the most atrocious thing I've ever seen.
Have you seen it, Ted?
The Fantastic Four? Yes.
Yes. Okay, here's the question I have for both of you then.
It cost me about $50 because of Slurpees and nachos and popcorn and the movie was barely 80 minutes long.
I saw it for free. Yes? Your question?
So here's my question. Does that movie actually work if you absolutely ignore the words Fantastic Four? And don't think of them as Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, et cetera, and just think of them as all new characters. Does that movie work much better?
I know where you're going with that. It works better, but to me, it still takes way too long to get going. It's way too talky.
Oh, no argument there.
It's about 45 minutes before anything interesting happens, other than school science fairs and bullies and blah, blah, blah. Well, after that, yeah, some interesting things happen. But yeah, I totally agree with you. If you divorce it from the preconception of what the Fantastic Four has been for decades, yeah, it works better that way.
But isn't anymore.
It's still not that good.
You heard that? How Marvel canceled the Fantastic Four comic before the movie came out because they said, you know what, we don't want to have anything associated with this movie again.
Exactly.
And they rebooted their universe, and not even all the Fantastic Four made it through the reboot.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah, they'll be back eventually. They're probably waiting until they finally get control of the characters so they can actually make a Fantastic Four movie that's not that bad. I was going to say horrendous, but this latest thing is not horrendous. And like you pointed out, Rob, if you ignore the fact that it's the Fantastic Four, it's better, but it's not really a good movie.
Okay, you want a horrendous one, though? Go watch the 1994 Fantastic Four movie. Directed by Roger Corman. It is available.
I'm not going to watch that.
It is available on YouTube, and if you watch it as kind of like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing, it works wonderfully because it is that bad.
No, not going to do it. Not going to watch Captain America with a motorcycle helmet either. Not going to go there.
Mm-mm.
And I made two of those things. It's like, no, not doing that. Sorry. You're not going to trick me into destroying my weekend. Although now I kind of feel like watching it just because.
But Ben Grimm looked like a Ninja Turtle that had a horrible melted polyurethane accident.
Yeah, and I do have to say this most recent Fantastic Four, the costume, the CGI, I shouldn't say costumes, the CGI was better served than it was in those first two things. The Thing looked like the Thing. The effects for Johnny Storm were very good.
One problem with Ben Grimm was he needed pants.
Yes, that would have been nice to have pants because otherwise you realize that he doesn't have a rock penis. That's kind of sad. Makes you sad for Ben.
I'm trying to remember if it was actually something with the actual actors or if it was an SNL scene where they did a thing with the other three members of the Fantastic Four sitting around going, why is Ben not wearing pants? And did his thing fall off when he became the Thing? Because
Maybe because maybe he is the Thing. I mean, there's nothing left of him except his thing, and that's why Ben's kind of dumb now. He thinks with his little head because that's all he is now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That could have been it. That would make sense in a sick kind of way. So, it was. I'm glad I didn't schlep $615 like Ted did to watch it. That's for sure.
Terrible.
Yeah, Ted, I love you, dude. But what were you thinking?
He's thinking.
I don't even know what I was thinking. The kid was whining about the movie. Hey, are we gonna go see? We're gonna go, and I was like, okay. Huh? And then we missed the matinee.
Ted,
I've done that with my kids, man. We need to go see Frozen. Well, okay, you and your mom. Because, gee, for some reason, I don't want to go see that one.
Right.
So. Anyway.
So.
We are going to wrap this baby up.
Let's say it's your job to wrap it, Ted. Let's go.
All right, so we want to thank all of our great guests today. Josh Beerman, who I butchered his name and called him John. Oh, my goodness. Ugh. Horrible. From the Side Door Brewing Company, I want to thank him. Rob Steele for joining. Todd for being the great host that he is. And for me with co-hosting duties while Lee is away being the Father of the Year. And with that, we're going to close with the outro.
The fans hoping to catch a little bit of the old-time religion right here, baby. With Junior stepping up to the plate. Here comes the stretch. And the pitch to Junior on the way. Swing and a fly ball hit to deep right center field. That baby is going to be...
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming, and I'm loud. Roar!
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything!